Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Throwback Thunder ThorsDay, episode number 4. Today, let's look at quite an oddity from my Generation 1 collection. I present to you Radioshack's 1985 Galactic Man. Now, you might notice at first there is some, rough issues going on with him. If you look right here, that part of the plastic is no longer there compared to how it is on the left side. Well, on his left side. On your right. It is gone. Again, this was a hand-me-down. This was not mine originally. This has been in and around and back and around town. So that is one thing that's wrong. Also, you might be wondering why he's on this stand. Well, let me show you. His legs kind of just compress on their own. There's no longer any tension. There's no friction whatsoever anymore. So, when he's on my shelf, he is kind of like a Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. But he shot more than Fitty Man. And as you can see, it's loose, and that works perfectly because it's kind of how he's having to kind of stand. See, as you can tell, he's a very top-heavy figure. I have to add. And just in case you're wondering, die-cast metal on his legs. You can see that's how a lot of the tension worked on it. He has springs in there. And you might be wondering, this right here, that is actually an old sticker. And it said Tandy. Because, as soon as I get into this, I will actually show you guys something else with this figure. So if you take a look at his back, he did have a button. Let's try to get this to zoom in. There was a button right here at one point that he had two different sounds, much like the Astro Magnum and the Shackwave of that same year did have a little sound option for two different laser sounds. But unfortunately, that button is no longer there. Little switch. And if you take a look at his cord, well, of course, old rubber tends to rot away. If you're familiar with rubber rot, a lot of the G1 toys that had like the rubber tires, unfortunately, if you're lucky, if they were kept in good areas, kept clean, kept safe over all these years, you could prevent this rubber rot for the most part. So, mine is just cracked and riddled, and this spot right here is torn out of the socket. It does not want to stay back in there, and as you can see, just by vaguely moving that, a piece of that rubber just ripped off. So we're going to try not moving this a whole lot, unfortunately. Let's get him to stand at his full length. Alright, so there's some key notable differences, and the most notable differences between the Galactic Man and Shackwave is that he has a red eye. He's got translucent plastic. He's got the translucent viewfinder piece. It's on his back. This little tidbit. That's translucent. His chest, his hand, and his handgun. Very funny. So, the other major difference is his very odd trigger choice. I mean, at least Megatron had, more of a, realistic pistol trigger. I'm not even gonna comment on that. But the Shockwave had a golden eye. 007. He had translucent purple for his hand, his viewfinder, his chest, and his handgun. Hand blaster, hand laser hand. That sounds like a really cool, synthwave band. Laser hand. And he has a flat trigger. So, when Hasbro got it, they changed up some of the stuff. I'm not sure exactly what caused them to do that. But I'm not gonna... It's all up for speculations, all you folks, everyone at home. And another thing is that the Shockwave actually has the translucent purple plastic for all the clear parts on his gun barrel. Now, Articulation, he's very varied what he can do. He can bend at his elbow. He can bend backwards at his elbow. His hand can do a full 360, although it is kind of tight, and he can turn at his forearm. And he can't really do much with his laser hand. If I take him off his stand, will you please come from the stand? He can move his leg out that far, does have a slight knee, and can, it's not intended to have any kind of foot pivoting. That's just for his transformation. And let's go into a little bit of it. So the history with this figure was sold as an exclusive. The Tandy licensed version of the Shockwave mold and named Galactic Man. Within the TF community, he's gained the nickname hilariously as Shackwave. And a fun fact, seen at first as a knockoff, this beautiful gray soulless machine, it was an actual official Toyco release. So, in case you're wondering, this is not any kind of knockoff. It's pretty much, it came out around the same time as the Astro Magnum. So there you had Astro Magnum, you had Galactic Man, and then you had Shockwave. So you had 3 variations. And just a quick note, the Astro Magnum version, all the clear plastic bits were a clear translucent red. So just to get that out of the air. And if you take a look right here, now it's very odd. This one says, the Toyco trademark in 1985. And there was some slight differences between the Astro Magnum's stamp, and of course Hasbro's Shockwave. But here's a throwback. Radioshack. How many of you remember Radioshack? And Radioshack, Galactic Man. It was a custom manufactured for Radioshack. And this is one of my holy grails of my G1 collection because it's so abstract compared to the rest of the collection. Because technically it's not G1, but I'm considering it G1 just for the fact that it's the Shockwave mold with, you know, a little bit of a operation, of course. So there is a thing going with this figure. The Galactic Man was intended to possess 4 modes. So he's got, I guess he's a quad changer, I guess what it would be known in the community now. Which is kind of funny because if you've watched Transformers Animated, Long Arm Prime, who, you know, spoiler alert, turned out to be Shockwave, he was a quad changer. He was the tank, the crane, and of course Long Arm Prime and Shockwave. So let's go into his modes. Alright, so this mode is called his anti-aircraft mode, and he's pretty much an anti-aircraft gun. How pretty much the transformation works, it's pretty similar to his laser gun mode, except you leave his feet folded out, so it gives it some base. And again, if you're wondering, much like his legs, those are, in fact, die-cast metal. Quality, very great. So, his barrel is slightly lighter gray compared to the rest of the body. It's pretty much almost the same color of plastic used as his arm joints. And also on the side of his legs. So as you can see, I mean, it's pretty nifty. I mean, I could see that being some kind of, you know, of course, some kind of alien type of anti-aircraft weapon. And it's kind of ironic in the G1 show, we would see Shockwave occasionally as his, you know, laser blaster mode. But for the most part, any time that it showed him, in fact, his first appearance, he was actually in a mode very reminiscent to this, blasting off at something, I don't know, and, you know, Megatron got his attention. Yes, Lord Megatron! So, that's a pretty interesting concept for an anti-aircraft. We're going to go into his Vulcan base destroyer mode next. And here he is in his Vulcan base destroyer. It's pretty much like his anti-aircraft / laser rifle mode. Laser blaster mode. Except you don't have the barrel attached to the front. It is just his laser hand and his literal laser hand, because it would at one point light up. I forgot to mention, I'm not too sure if the electronics in it still work, seeing the fact I don't have a way to turn on, you know, option A or option B for the sounds. I remember it used to a long time ago. It's been 15 plus years. I honestly couldn't tell ya. But yeah, that is his Vulcan base destroyer mode. I'm not sure what they mean by Vulcan. When I think of Vulcan, I think of, you know, Star Trek. But I really don't know. It sounds very sci-fi and, you know, space, you know, space cool. Is that even a word? Sounds like space school. It's where you learn about space. keeping your distance from me, 'cause I'm grumpy. I'm not Shockwave, though. And, yeah, again, I mean, he used to have that Tandy sticker right there. Yeah, there he is. His Vulcan base destroyer. Destroys Vulcan bases, I guess. It's not very nice. What the Vulcans ever do to you, man? Galactic Man. Okay, so next we are going to go into his amazing and spectacular handheld laser gun. And here he is in his laser gun mode. You could... he does have some slight performance problems if you move him too much. It tilts, but the joints are old. The joints are actually very, very old and very worn out, so I'm surprised he hasn't completely flopped down right now. But that is how you would activate his little blaster sounds right there. You'd flip it over to A or to B. And here's his little viewfinder. Again, there's very slight differences between this and his anti-aircraft mode. As you can see, I mean, this is just flipped down and his toes are flipped out. That is... that's really the only differences between this mode. The Vulcan-based destroyer mode is slightly different, but I really like how they have pretty decent, crosshairs put into the plastic, and I think it's molded on. It's molded on this side into the plastic. Yeah, so you could see where your Decepticon foe is gonna be at, or Autobot foe, because I guess Galactic Man's not either. He's neither Autobot nor Decepticon. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, for its age, I'm not gonna complain. Just for the fact it's not completely broken, I'll take that as a win, baby. But yeah. If you're wondering, his original laser sounds, very, very high pitch and very squealing and very unpleasant to the ears. I'll transform him into his combination. It's his custom mode. So, let's get him back into his Galactic Man form. Alright, and here we go. Another thing, how he was kind of shown on his product package. Well, he was shown with his little antennae flipped down. To me, I feel like they're always intended to be flipped up because, well, going more for, Shockwave, of course. Cool little fact also. Fun fact number 2. The box for Galactic Man uses the same prototype artwork from Astro Magnum's box to demonstrate its various modes. So it's not even this figure that's on the back of the box. And I think the artwork was similar, or it was the same as Astro Magnum's, but very different from the artwork that Hasbro used for Shockwave. I believe it was the same genius behind pretty much most of the G1 box artwork who did Shockwave. Another cool thing, Siege Shockwave was actually part of the Hasbro Generation Select series, and they did a release of the Siege Shockwave in the Galactic Man's colors. And I think they did a spectacular job with doing so. So, thank you for watching. Check out my previous episodes on my playlist, Throwback Thunder ThorsDay, Follow me on Instagram at The Mighty Beastman and Twitter at The Mighty Beastman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you dig it? Do you want it? Do you have it? I want to know. I generally would like to know. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider doing so. Again, thanks for watching, and keep on rocking in the free world. Yes!